Another thing about the Historical Commission is that the bridge was already one of the historic places in the state, but not on the National Register, but part of the general historic area and a historic structure. And as such, in the listing of the Massachusetts Historical Commission, the Massachusetts Highway Department is obliged to go to them when they want to demolish a historic structure and say, this is what we're going to do, is this okay with you? And the laws come back to them saying, you may do this, but only if you do not harm any historic area or disturb the historic site or whatever, which means they cannot, absolutely cannot just blow it up and drop it in the river. They will have to take it down piece by piece the way it went up, and they can't afford to do it. The demolition, they have said, basing it on blowing it up and putting it in the river, was around $1 million. If they had to take it down piece by piece, it would be 3 times that. We cannot have an absolute number until we have the design, but it's somewhere in the 9 million, I guess, including everything. That would be the total repair.
Plans to repair the bridge raise an important question. How should the responsibility for the history and legacy of past generations be balanced with other responsibilities related to present and future needs? While most agree that both are important, there are different ideas about how to strike that balance.
Ironically, I teach social studies, so if anybody that would respect history would be me, and that's fine. But we're not even taking care of the school. I mean, we're going to take care of past generations, and we're not going to take care of future generations. I mean, in a luscious economy where everything was green, I'd be all for it. But right now, I think, have these people that are investing all this time and energy think about their generations of kids, like their grandchildren, their children themselves. That's my biggest issue, is that it just seems to me that we want to pay the school, the new school. Can't do it because they keep shooting down this money to do that. So yeah, fine, if you want to take care of past generations and respect past generations, that's great. But what about future generations? I mean, as I said, do you really want to, you want to have a town that respects education? That will bring in people to live here. Maybe the economy will follow, but if you don't have people willing to support the schools, then you're going to have people leaving.
The bridge it will be great to restore it, connect East and West Northfield, but as we enter another tough budget season, it's tough to see where the funds would come to pay for it, and it's tough to see how people could afford $1 on the tax rate to take on that risk of demolishing it. Where are the funds going to come from? Even some grant programs are matching grants where you have to come up with 10, 20, 30, 40% of the grant. 40% of $10 million is still $4 million. It's a real, I don't want to sound too pessimistic, but it's taken us 20 years to get design funds for the sidewalks. And that's funded by 80% by the Federal Highway Administration, 20% by the state. That's $108,000, I think. We're hopefully getting the $1 million construction, but again, it's taken it'll take 25 years to get those funds, and that'll be 80% federal, 20% state. When you start off with the Federal Highway Administration tell you they're not going to participate at all, it makes the difficulty obtaining these funds all the more difficult.
And I've been told that if the bridge is rebuilt, that the funds will be available to maintain it, and it won't cost the town any money. You know, you're looking, if it is rebuilt, you're looking for a good many years when it's going to need maintenance, and you'd have to have quite a fund set up to cover that so that it wouldn't drop back onto the town.
The whole idea, and I think everyone involved with this effort to save the bridge realizes that not now, not ever, can we expect to do this with Northfield funds. We are not thinking of using any Northfield tax funds ever for this effort. And I think that's really important for people to know, that all of us involved understand that issue, and we do know that it's going to be not easy, but that there is funding out there at state and federal levels and from private foundations, and that funding goes somewhere. And we think, why not Northfield? This would make a fabulous biking, hiking loop. And so the bike event today, where they'll be on the west side and then they'll be on the east side, but they won't be coming across the beautiful Schell Bridge. Most of the people that are involved with trying to save the bridge are very supportive of schools and lots of other good things for Northfield. And people that live near the bridge should realize that if a trail were to go in, everywhere that's happened, I believe, around the nation, that has been good for their property values. Rehabilitation is possible. So we now need to get the town select board more interested than they were in the past, and just enlist more people and help. And when we get to a certain stage, then we will be able to get federal or state funding, or we will be able to look to that.
The roadblock is that money needs to be raised in order to restore the bridge. And that's not a roadblock, but it's a challenge. Another issue is that the bridge continues to deteriorate. It's not, we need to at least arrest the deterioration of the bridge so that we can raise that money. Because there are places on the bridge that are in really good shape, but the places on the bridge that are not in good shape need to be fixed sooner than later. And then we think we'll be good to go.
But I think when you go out and see the bridge, kayak underneath it or something, I just think that the likelihood of it falling down at this point it's gone now for 20 years with an awful lot of snow on it. It hasn't fallen down. I think one of the reasons that this bridge is so sturdy is the design of it, and it doesn't have any piers or pillars in the middle of the river. And that bridge stood up through the surge of the hurricane of 1938 and the floods of 1936. And it stood up with some enormous ice jams coming down the river. And they just go right past the Schell Bridge. And then they went down to the bridges in Montague, took out a bridge there, and that bridge sailed down the river and smashed up another bridge. That 1938 or 36 film that was done at the Connecticut River shows those bridges just being taken out. But the Schell, because it's on, the piers are on either side of the river and they don't block the river, the ice isn't blocked up as it comes down. So in that respect, it's very sturdy. We also had Ed Klikowski, who does these films, and he does underwater filming to make the movies. He comes from UMass. We asked him to go down, dive down and look at the piers and film them, because we wanted, before we got into this, we wanted to make sure that the piers, or that stonework that's holding the bridge up, was in good shape, and it's in fine shape. And he took a video all around the piers, so we were happy to see that they were in good shape.